Welcome friends, in this video we will talk about client-server model. Understanding client-server model is very important for web programming. So how do we define client-server model? According to our definition, client-server model is a distributed application structure that divides tasks between providers of resources that we call servers and requesters of the resources that we call clients. Often clients and servers communicate over a computer network on a separate hardware, but both client and server may reside in the same system. It means these three blocks can be combined into a single system. We will see how we can do that. But first, let's try to understand client-server model more deeply. Let's try to understand this concept with the help of supply chain analogy. Suppose there is a demand among consumers for a product X. Consumer go to the distributor and asks for product X. If distributor doesn't have it, then he passes the message to the manufacturer that there is a demand for product X. Manufacturer produces the product and supplies the product back to the distributor through transport, which is further supplied to the consumers. Similarly, take another example of a user requesting a web page on his computer, that is a client device. Using web browser as a client program, the request is sent to server through network. The server processes the request, fetches the requested web page and send it back to the web browser. The web browser displays the web page to the user. So we developed this supply chain client server analogy where manufacturer and servers are the providers of the resources and user and consumers are the final consumers of the resources. When we think about client-server model, we imagine a system where one device works as a server and the other devices works as clients. However, it is not the complete picture. In order to understand the client-server model properly, we should talk about client-server programs. Let's take the same example of web pages. User requests a web page on his computer using a web browser. However, the requested address is a domain name, for example abc.com. So the request first goes to the DNS server. The DNS server finds the IP address of the domain in its directory and returns the IP address of the target web server. Then the request is sent to web server using the IP address. Web server processes the request. While processing the request, web server finds that some data is required from the database server. Now web server working as a client sends the data retrieval request to database server. Database server processes the request and sends the requested data back to the web server. Web server again gets to know that a mail is required from the mail server. Web server again working as a client sends the request to mail server, and is similar to previous case. Mail server returns the requested mail to the web server. Finally, web server collects all the data, processes it into a web page and sends it back to the web browser through the network, which shows the result to the user. There is one point to note that all these server programs can be hosted either on different systems or a single system. Even both client and server programs may reside in the same system. So how we can host more than one server programs on a single computer system? The answer is ports. So what is a port? A port is a logical construct that identifies a specific process or a type of network service. So each server program is assigned a unique port number. So when a client sends a request to a server, it sends the request along with the port number of that server program. We will understand this topic more deeply when we will demonstrate how to create a local server on your system. It is a list of most commonly used port numbers and protocols. Port 80 and 443 are assigned to HTTP and HTTP Secure respectively, where web servers like Apache Web Server, IIS Server, Tomcat Server works as server programs, and all web browsers works as client programs. You may already be familiar with all these protocols. So let's host our own local web server. We basically need three things to host a local web server. The first one is Apache Web Server. The second one is MySQL database server, and the third one is scripting language support. So I choose PHP for that. All these programs are open source and comes with GNU General Public License. And we can get all these programs in a single package called XAMPP package. So this is all for this video. In the next video, I will demonstrate how we can host a local web server on Windows 10 platform using this XAMPP package. Thank you.